good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Canterbury Catholic. And today, short video, hopefully, I just wanted to give my thoughts um, on this on this debate that took place a couple weeks ago. I think it's been almost 2 weeks at this point, that a lot of people are talking about, and that is, as you can see, the debate between Mr. Cassman and brother Peter Dimond. This was a debate that took place on Matt Fradd's Pints with Aquinas channel, which is an absolutely fantastic channel. It's definitely in my top 3 Catholic YouTube channels, and depending on my mood, it'll take the top spot. But this debate occurred between Mr. Cassman and brother Peter Dimond, and the debate was essentially concerning the issue of sedevacantism. I won't go too deep into it, but if you don't know what sedevacantism is, it's essentially this theological position in which the person who identifies as a sedevacantist, who holds to that theological position, argues that after the Second Vatican Council, the post-conciliar popes, and even you could say two of the preconciliar popes, were not legitimate or valid popes due to manifest heresy that was promulgated and enforced upon the Catholic Church at large via the Second Vatican Council. There's a lot more to say about it. There's some nuances, but that's just kind of a general overview of what that is. Go on YouTube, check it out. I will say I have never identified as a sedevacantist. I think as most young Catholic men, at least that I've met, I went through a phase where I kind of flirted with sedevacantism, where some of the talking points sounded nice. They made sense in helping me kind of wrap my head around what was going on in the world. But at the end of the day, I never accepted sedevacantism, and now I actually vehemently reject it. And not necessarily because of a contra sedevacantist apologist, but actually for all of the sedevacantist apologists themselves. They were the ones that kind of convinced me that no, this theological position is simply untenable in the current situation. I'm not saying that sedevacantism, an extended sede vacante, an extended vacancy of the seat of Peter, is not I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think in the situation as it stands right now, that is not the case that we are in. So, anyways, quick overview of sedevacantism. So Matt Fradd had this debate on his channel with Mr. Cassman and Brother Dimond. Mr. Cassman arguing contra sedevacantism, and Brother Peter Dimond arguing for sedevacantism. And I thought about going through the debate, which I've listened to about 3 times now. I thought about going through the debate and picking key moments and just kind of commenting on it, but if you're interested in it, just watch the debate. Just watch the debate, skim through it if you don't want to sit through the whole thing. At pretty much every moment, it's a pretty... I wouldn't say there was a huge, like, a pivot point in the debate. It all kind of remained the same in terms of tactics and talking points between the two interlocutors. So rather than going through and just commenting on specific moments, I'll just kind of give my general overview, my general thoughts on it, and then also comment on the controversy that this debate has kind of sparked. So when I first saw that this debate was going to be a thing, it was about I want to say it was like 2 weeks before. It could have only been a week before. It just popped up in my community feed on YouTube. And I immediately was concerned for a couple reasons. Well, really, yeah, I mean, a couple reasons. 2 main reasons. One, I was and it really boils down to me being concerned over who was picked for this debate to represent the 2 issues. This was a debate concerning sedevacantism. Now, sedevacantism is a very wide. It's not a homogenous uh, view, theological point. You'd think that it should be. Sorry, my cat just just jumped on my lap. You'd think that it would be a pretty simple theological point, and that anyone who ascribes to it can get along with any set of a contest, and they would agree on the same things. But that's not true. It's much more like a spectrum, and I know this because while I am not a set of a contest, and I'm not a set of a contest, it's a little Catholic corner, like a little niche that I like to kind of study and keep up with. Not because I think we are currently in the state of a set of a Conte, but because it I don't know. It's just something that interests me in the theological talking points and the development of the radical traditionalist movement, especially in America. It's just something that I enjoy kind of studying and keeping up with and whatnot. Uh, so that's how I know that you get a room with 20 sedevacantists and you're gonna have 21 different opinions about anything, you know. And so when I saw these two debaters that were chosen, I was concerned because Brother Dimond, arguing for the sedevacantist position, um, Brother Dimond is, and I hesitate to even to even refer to him as Brother Dimond. I do it purely out of respect and not out of credence for um, whatever religious orders he claims to, or religious vows he claims to have taken. Brother Dimond and Brother Peter Dimond and his sibling, his brother, I think his name's Michael Dimond. I could be wrong. Actually, I think that's completely wrong. I don't remember. I apologize. They run this monastery called Holy Family Monastery. Holy Cross? No, it's Holy Family. Holy Family Monastery. Um, and in which it's a sedevacantist-based community, but they are not your average sedevacantist. They are also known as Feeneites. If you don't know, Feeneism is this heresy that was not promulgated, but you could say kind of pushed by, I believe, an American priest. I want to say an American Jesuit, Father Feeney. I could be completely wrong. I'm sorry, I could be completely wrong, but I think he was American. It was either the 19th or the early 20th century, in which it kind of rehashed this older, smaller heresy, stating that extra ecclesiam nulla salus, outside the church there's no salvation, was absolute, and that there's no such thing as baptism of desire or anything like that. In other words, if you're not a Catholic, a baptized Catholic, in the visible communion of the Catholic Church, regardless of whether or not you know that the Catholic Church is the true church, you cannot and will not be saved. That is a heresy, obviously. Brother Dimond and his monastery and his followers ascribe to this view. So he is viewed as a heretic, not only by the institutional Catholic, by the Catholic Church now, in which he rejects as a false church, but also by sedevacantists. They view him as a heretic. All these various sedevacantist communities and congregations sprinkled throughout the world, certainly in the United States, view him as a heretic, and he views them as heretics. Some of the big names in the sedevacantist congregational community are people like Bishop Donald Sanborn, Bishop Daniel Dolan, the late Bishop Daniel Dolan, Father Anthony Cicada, who died a couple years ago, Bishop Mark Pivarunis of the CMRI, various other clerics and individuals, Stephen Heiner, Mario Dirksen. They all view him as a heretic. So he's not. When I saw that he had been chosen for the debate, I was surprised, because I don't know. I just felt like there was so many other people that could have been chosen to represent the sedevacantist position better, more coherently, and also not have that hindrance of being, whether or not sedevacantism, to be a sedevacantist now makes you a heretic. That's a whole nother argument. Regardless of how you feel about that, it cannot be disputed that Brother Dimond is a heretic because he denies things such as baptism of desire and so on and so forth, and God's ability to save the ignorant of the truth. Save those who are ignorant of the truth. Your Native Americans who were born and died prior to Christ's coming and prior to the West kind of catching up and heading to the New World. So that was my first issue, seeing that Brother Dimond was selected to represent that position. And now with Mr. Cassman, I have a lot of respect for him because I think he truly is of good goodwill and has an open mind and has a good heart and is really, just loves Holy Mother Church and just wants to spread the gospel and show the truth of the Catholic Church. The issue is, though, is that Mr. Cassman is a member of, or a congregational member of is a good way to put it, of the Society of St. Pius X, who I'm sure everyone watching this, well, some people will argue they are not in schism at all. Some people say they're entirely in schism. Some people say they're only partially in schism, and others will say they're, anyways. But regardless of that, I think you can argue that given the talking points and the attitude of the society and her congregations towards the post-conciliar church, towards the council itself, certainly towards the post-conciliar pontiffs, you can see that someone who is kind of formed in that frame of mind would have a hard time defending contra sedevacantism when, frankly, in my opinion, being a congregational member of the Society of St. Pius X, whether you be a layman or a cleric, is really just a hop, skip, and away from sedevacantism if you are not careful. In fact, those three clerics that I mentioned, Bishops Donald Sanborn, Bishop Daniel Dolan, and Father Anthony Cicada, all three of them were early members of the Society of St. Pius X. They knew Archbishop Lefebvre. They were ordained by Archbishop Lefebvre. So when I saw that these two men had been chosen to represent their positions, I was a bit disappointed, but I, waited eagerly for the debate and I watched it. And at the end of it, I was I was more disappointed because what I had expected to happen very much happened. The debate was not really, it was not a debate, contra sedevacantism, or it was not a debate in which one party was trying to prove the legitimacy of sedevacantism here and now, and the other person trying to showing how that's not the case. It ultimately came down to a debate in which Brother Dimond, who and it seems that most people believe won the debate, Brother Dimond was really highlighting the fact that being a congregational member of the Society of St. Pius X and being formed in that frame of mind, it's often referred to as the recognize and resist crowd or camp or theological position, R&R for short. Being part of the R&R position, that school of theology, which the Society of St. Pius X really coined and kind of developed following the liturgical reforms and the conciliar reforms, really hinders you at best at defending the legitimacy of the current hierarchy, and at worst makes it completely null and void. And Brother Dimond knew this going into this debate, and I had a feeling that this is how it was going to go. It really wasn't a debate for or against sedevacantism. It was really just Brother Dimond railing into Mr. Cassman about how the SSPX says this about the new liturgy and how it's evil and an occasion an occasion for sin, if not sinful itself, to attend the new liturgy. It makes certain assumptions and certain indirect comments against the new hierarchy and the even things as the legitimacy of the sacraments in the new rites and so on and so forth. And Mr. Cassman really didn't have a way. He couldn't respond with a straight face and or be taken seriously. And it's not because he is not an intelligent man. He's a very intelligent man. It's not because he doesn't believe that the church, as it stands right now in her hierarchy, is illegitimate. It's not that at all. It's simply that his theological framework does not allow him to argue against sedevacantism, because in practice, in when it comes down to it, the R&R position, this recognize and resist position, where you can recognize someone as the pontiff but essentially not pay attention to them, resist what they say, ignore things such as the apostolic mandate to not consecrate bishops without the approval of the Holy See, or any sort of motu proprios inhibiting certain liturgical practices. The idea that you can say this person is the pontiff but not listen to him when he makes promulgations is patently absurd, frankly. And I don't mean this as any disrespect to Mr. Cassman, but it's just case in point. I mean, and it's unfortunate that this debate was marketed as a sedevacantism debate, because it really wasn't, like, almost not at all. If you listen to the debate, it gets to a point where anytime Brother Dimond has the opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Cassman, all he's doing is saying, do you believe this? Do you believe this? Do you believe this? Do you believe this? Which are, Orthodox Catholic doctrine. And then he'll say, now, do you believe this? And he'll quote Amoris Laetitia, or, he'll say, do you believe that a man who kisses the Quran allegedly it can be the Pope, or do you, so on and so forth. It really isn't a debate about sedevacantism. It's a debate about highlighting the incoherency and the non-Catholicity of the recognize and resist position. And it was really unfortunate. It was really unfortunate. I knew it. Call me pessimistic, but watching it, I was like, yep, I know exactly where he's going with this, because I've spent so much time listening to other men, women, clerics, on the sedevacantist side of things, making the same arguments. And while there are ways to refute them for sure, I just knew that Mr. Cassman wouldn't be able to without completely leaving his theological frame of mind, and thus showing even more so his I don't want to say his illegitimacy, but the non-validity, I guess you could say, or the non-capability of his theological school to defend the magisterium as it is right now. Yeah, and so it was tough, and I'll be completely honest, I was a little disappointed, like I said earlier, I was a little bit disappointed with this lineup being selected. It just, frankly speaking, it was not a good, I think, on the part of, and I'm saying this charitably, and these are just my thoughts, I'm just being honest. I don't think it was a good call on the part of whoever at Pints with Aquinas. I assume Matt Fradd was the one that put it together. I don't think it was a good call to put these two up against each other, because they are not fully representing the position, that they don't fully belong to the position that they're trying to defend, if that makes sense. And listen, it can be hard to find people to debate this topic. I'm not saying that. I would be surprised if these were the first and only two people that Matt Fradd reached out to defend their positions. But I think that there are better people on both sides of the aisle that could have represented their positions better. And it just would have been a more... it just would have been a better debate, because this just... regardless of how you feel about sedevacantism, whether you're on the pro or the anti, no one watched this debate thinking like, oh, this was fantastic. It was a very unsatisfying debate for both sides, for both parties. Um, so I think, a good, someone good to defend sedevacantism would have been any of the people I mentioned. Father Chikata and Bishop Dolan have both since passed on. Bishop Dolan, not Bishop Dolan. Bishop Sanborn is still alive, but he is running a sedevacantist seminary actually here in Florida for now. I think they're moving. But any of his clerics, I mean, he has he has dozens of priests running around Florida and the United States. Someone like Father Nicholas Desposito. Matt lives in Ohio. There are tons of sedevacantists and radical traditionalist independent priests and congregations in Ohio. It's kind of crazy how many there are. Coming to mind, there's the Society of St. Pius V in, I think, Parma, Cincinnati. I don't know, but Father William Jenkins, people like him, any of those priests. He could have asked, as far as non-clerics, he could have asked someone like Stephen Heiner, although I think he lives in Europe now. That might have been hard. Or you could have asked Mario Dirksen from Novus Ordo Watch, or anyone like that, As far as the Contra Sedevacantist position goes, I think Michael Lofton would have done phenomenal. I think he would have done really well. I really do. I think, let's see, Dr. Robert Fastigi would have been great. There's actually a good debate on the Novus Ordo Watch YouTube channel from the early 2000s between Dr. Robert Fastigi and Bishop Donald Sanborn. And this was a debate held and moderated by priests or I think a seminarian or maybe a priest, I can't remember, of the Fraternity of St. Peter. Early in the FSSP's history. And that was actually a very good debate. So I'd recommend that. It's on YouTube, I think, still. I think what it comes down to really is this was not a debate for or against sedevacantism, and this was not a debate, this was this if you wanted a debate for or against sedevacantism, Pints with Aquinas, you needed to get people who are actually sedevacantists, and you needed to get someone who's actually sedevacantist and someone who doesn't have any canonical or theological hang-ups with the magisterium, frankly. I think some of the people I listed would have been better lineups. But again, I'm sure that this was hard enough to put together. And you never know. Sometimes people just don't want to talk about this stuff, especially sedevacantism, because it can get real messy and it can get people into trouble. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I know I haven't been uploading. It's just been busy with work and school. Doing a lot of teaching, doing a lot of playing, doing a lot of just running around and taking care of stuff. So I'll try and do a little bit more. We did get to 50 subscribers, which is really cool. So now I can go live. So maybe we'll do some live stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But stay tuned and like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. God bless.